Rastafari love, greetings family, once again, live and direct from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. We are here right now at the beautiful Muslim Music Center. I'm joined by a very special guest. We did Reason a few months ago in November. That reasoning is available. Today, we thought let's hook up the video and let's make a part 2, a follow-up interview, because a lot has happened since our last reasoning. Yeah. So welcome to the show once again. Welcome to the Roots Juice Breakfast, the Zion Heads, man like Ras Julio. The A is involved in a lot of different projects worldwide. I guess one of the things that A is most known for is the involvement of House of Rastafari. That is the director of House of Rastafari at Rototom. Let's start off by, well, how's the A feeling? How's the vibes in Ethiopia? And we're gonna get to all the Ethiopia vibes and the runnings, but I want to ask a little bit as well about this year. Is going to be Rototom 30th anniversary. Is there anything special planned, House of Rastafari, and is this trip to Ethiopia, how is that going to inspire what's coming up over the next few months? Rastafari.
Haile Selassie the first. Yes, my brethren. Give thanks for having me. Give thanks for the energy towards the preserving of Rastafari culture and the diffusion of Rastafari principles, which are healing for this time. Rastafari is the healing of the nation. So anytime that you drop a video or you do something like that, you are contributing to the well-being of mankind and creation. So give thanks for that. Well, it's a very inspiring moment along the journey, because we are in Ethiopia and because we have been traveling through Kenya and Ethiopia and delivering the message with Alborosie. Just 4 or 5 days ago we were performing at Friendship Park. It was a great success, and we have been performing in Kenya as well, and everything is in support of the deaf community and the people with disabilities. So it's a very special moment, I would say, when reggae music can really contribute to humanitarian objectives. And as you say, the House of Rastafari 2025, it will be, of course, a very special moment, because it will be the 30th anniversary of the festival itself. So when you look at an anniversary now, it's a celebration of what you have done, but it's also a push to do always more. So anytime that we celebrate our birthday anniversary, we should focus on what we have done so far, but we should also get inspired to do more. Yeah? So it's the same thing with the festival, the same thing with the House of Rastafari. What we want to do, we want to have Ethiopia involved in. We want to have representatives from this beautiful country coming over. And as we speak, we are trying to make possible that brethren from Ethiopia can come over to the House of Rastafari and can work with INI. We want to have representatives of the African continent. So that is what we are working to and what we are working for. Of course, it's something that you have to negotiate amongst visa and papers and money and funds and sponsors. So now we are in February, so we still have a few months ahead, but we are already very, very active. I would like to have some of the item over to the House of Rastafari. I would like to have some of the brethren from Kenya, the Haile Selassie Foundation, present at the House of Rastafari. In other words, this anniversary should be a reunion, yeah, where there is Rastafari from Europe, Rastafari from Jamaica, there is Rastafari from Africa, from Ethiopia. So united we stand, my brethren. So this is what we need to look for, yeah, unity and strength and working together. So this is pretty much the plan, and this is pretty much what we are working towards. Yes, as we speak.
Yeah. Rastafari. Thanks. And when I was last at Rototom in 2019, I remember there was, as you say, there was some Ethiopian representatives. I think Prince Eremias himself was visiting the festival, and there was talk at that time of you know, I think Rototom may be connecting with the Ethiopia and doing something. Obviously the corona and the lockdown and all of these slowed down things, but is there anything that we could expect in the future years regarding this kind of collaboration?
I would say the work is in progress. I would say the work is in motion, and surely the presence of Ethiopia at the House of Rastafari will facilitate also this progress. Yeah, so I cannot give a precise projection of how and when things will happen, but it is a vision that I had from many years, is a vision of the festival's organizers themselves to have the Rototom Sunsplash Festival on Ethiopian soil.
Yeah.
We're still working for that. Yeah, we're still working for that. But, you know, Bregin, in Rastafari, the goal is not the ultimate objective. It's the path towards the ultimate objective. So while we are waiting to reach there, we are working and we are achieving other things. Yeah, so we don't only look at that moment. It takes stages and stages, and through these stages we are learning always more. You know, working in two different continents is not that easy. So there are many things that must be set in place, and we are studying and we are practicing and we are exercising to be ready when that time arrives. We are making things happen. We're not waiting for things to happen. This is the teaching of His Majesty.
Yes,
Right.
truly. And so could the tell us, before we get more into these current runnings in Ethiopia, like the House of Rastafari itself, we reasoned upon it last time a little bit, but I would say let's make mention of the importance of having such a kind of center, you know, within the festival, because you know there's a lot of reggae festivals in Europe, and maybe some of them these days we know that in the European reggae scene or the worldwide reggae scene, you know, there's some steering away from the rootical message, and there's different things going on, let's say. So for audience members, for people that are coming to Rototom to enjoy reggae music but also learn about it, because many people when they come they might just think it's just a music genre. And so what's the importance of having this space, the House of Rastafari? We mentioned also the Reggae University, but these cultural and educational exchanges, let's say.
Well, my brother, let me tell you that everything we do is about a revolution. A revolution in order to dispel the darkness and emphasize the light. In other words, when I move as Rastafari in unity, we are not only representing a culture or sharing knowledge and culture, we are actually setting into place a revolution. Because every time that somebody comes at the House of Rastafari, he never or she never go back as the same person. When you come at the House of Rastafari, you breathe in the Rastafari liberty. You have the possibility of meeting prominent Rastafari elders from Jamaica, from Ethiopia. You have the possibility of eating Rastafari food, drinking Rastafari juice. You have the possibility of listening to the chanting, the drumming, the praises. You have the possibility of just mingling among I, and you will never go back the same person. Yeah, because you enrich your godly person within. So the House of Rastafari, since 20 years now, actually we started in 2003. Yeah, so now it's 2025, but there were 2 years of COVID, so no festivals are gone, so we had a stop. From 2003, what we are trying to do is not only spreading knowledge and notions, that is something that we do, but is something further. We are trying to gather the people and show them a way towards a more godly and divine way of living. That's why I say Rastafari is a revolution, and the House of Rastafari is a revolution. So if you consider that Rototom has almost 300,000 people at every edition, yeah, 8 days, 7 days, you can make the math. It's a huge number of people passing through, and many of these people pass through the House of Rastafari. So it is a point of exposure, it is a point of connection, it is a point of revitalizing for many people. They come at the House of Rastafari, they feel rejuvenated because they have the opportunity to sit with I Rastafari. And I Rastafari is not there to preach to them or to convince them or to convert them. But as I always say, I Rastafari has the duty, in a context like Rototom Festival, to help the people finding the way towards the Almighty within themselves. So we are like a pointing finger that points straight in the depth of their soul. This is what House of Rastafari is about. Technically speaking, yes, we have the Nyabingi chants, which have a huge impact on the people. The people love it. We have hundreds of people gathering around the Nyabingi chants, and people feel the vibration so much, even if they're not Rasta. But that it's just like the souls, their souls, expressing themselves. Yeah, we have the lectures, we have the seminars, so there are different topics. You can learn about history, you can learn about principles, moral, philosophy, idle food, natural medicine, all of this that composes Rastafari liberty. You can find it at the House of Rastafari. But is the humanity, is the presence. House of Rastafari is the presence of Rastafari within the festival. Some people come around just to feel safe, to sit down and feel in a safe environment. We don't judge, we don't discriminate, we don't exclude. We just let the natural Rastafari energy flow freely. And that's why we're still here. And then, yes, of course, we collaborate with the Reggae University. We also have a presence in the Reggae University, which is the biggest reggae panel in the world. So every edition we have at least a couple of seminars that we have within the Reggae University, and we do our opening with the Nyabingi chants. Actually, the festival organizers, they always ask us to open the Reggae University sessions with the Nyabingi chants, because they themselves feel that the energy of the blessings that we can bring with the Bingi chant is really valuable and important, and the people love it. Hundreds and hundreds of people present at the Bingi chants Reggae University. So we give thanks, man. We give thanks. Through the years, we had so many people passing through. We had community that formed because of the House of Rastafari. We had people getting married, yeah, couple born at the House of Rastafari because a brother and a sister, and they meet up at the House of Rastafari, and then, you know, their paths kind of combine. So everywhere Rastafari there, miracles happen.
Yes,
Highly.
high. And so you mentioned like that idea of coming and getting that rejuvenation, that spiritual comfort, and leaving not feeling the same. So I think the same could be said about Ethiopia. Yeah. So the A has been visiting for a number of years. Like we said, most recently, November 2024 was for the Addis Dub Club, Alborosie alongside King Shiloh sound system. That was a massive session. And then this time, February 2025, International Reggae Month, it happens to be the African Victory Festival. This time, Alborosie alongside the full bands, the Schengen Clan, all the way from Jamaica. As the I say, it was a great show. It was a great performance. All the people were satisfied, and you know, Alborosie has a big following here in Addis. So could the I tell us also about, for your own personal experience and for your own personal trod, what it means to be in Ethiopia right now, but also in terms of the show and in terms of the troddings and the event that's just taken place. And what could I tell us about that session in November and about the session that took place this past Saturday?
Well, let's start from the sessions, yeah? So, the most recent one in Friendship Park last Saturday, it was great. First time Alborosie come in Ethiopia with the full band. I mean, the people just love the vibration, man. And I keep receiving messages or bumping into people, them say, wow, that was something else, we loved it. Clearly, Ethiopia is the place where the reggae industry should be present as much as in the West. Ethiopian ground, Ethiopian soil is so fertile for reggae music. It's inborn within the people. Reggae music speaks about Ethiopia, His Majesty, Shashamani, Addis Ababa, Lalibela, the sacredness of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the inspiration of the Ethiopianism, the land of Kush, Queen of Sheba, King Solomon. The Ethiopia is the Black Zion. Yeah, so there is no better place for this genre of music to have a crowd. Yeah, so Friendship Park was great. Last November, when we were in a session with King Shiloh, was also great. It was a different energy, Was like inside a room, was with sound system. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was just wonderful. The reception Alborosie got was just really, really amazing. And the movement of bringing reggae artists in Ethiopia is for mainly three purposes, I would say. First of all, we want to do something nice for the country, give something to the people, so the people can see that, the reggae artists do not dismiss this place. They do come here because the Ethiopian public is as worth as other publics on planet Earth to receive reggae music. So we should just dismantle this prejudice that is impossible to perform in Ethiopia and Africa is a difficult place and this and that. And no, man, we are serious people putting up a serious management, and even though you can find some difficulties along the way, but hey, the show was great. Both the shows were great. So Ethiopia is ready. First thing we want to do is to do something nice for the public. Second thing is that we want to utilize reggae music to help humanitarian projects. So reggae music can be reconnected to its initial and original and natural and essential aspiration, which is to uplift the people and better the living condition of the people. And third is to inspire other reggae artists abroad to come and perform here. So Alborosie come here, is happy, huge success, huge turnout, a lot of people. So now we want to see all different reggae singers and MC and toasters and selectors. Do an African tour. You have people there. The item is ready. I'm ready. We have connection. We have the best equipment you can find in the nation, in the country. So everything is ready here. So this is what this reggae movement of these last 3 months was about. This mission was about this. So now when it comes to Ethiopia itself, as a country, of course Ethiopia is the promised land. Ethiopia is the blessed land. Ethiopia is the Black Zion. So I've been studying Ethiopia since I was a youth. I started coming here, I was 21 years old. I traveled by myself, I traveled, alone in the country. I visited, I was even very adventurous, I would say, at that time. And I find it immediately in Ethiopia something that I could not have found nowhere else. And before to come here, I visited Jamaica, London, different Rastafari communities around. But this is the land of origin. This is where everything starts. This is where you find that the spiritual realm and the material realm, they are connected, truly and visibly. So this morning I visited Jubilee Palace. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, with my daughter as well. And you are here exactly where the prophecies were fulfilled. So this is a place where the ancient prophecies were ultimately fulfilled, where is the place where Christ became history, is the place where the Bible became a constitution. This is a place where a promise of the divine king became a reality. And His Majesty, the ruler, the ultimate Davidic ruler, came to govern here in this place. So there is something here that you will not find nowhere else. That's why you don't visit Ethiopia. You experience Ethiopia. You don't travel to Ethiopia. You immerse yourself into Ethiopia. You don't observe Ethiopia. It's Ethiopia observing you. And that's why you never go back as you came. You are a different person once you go back to the West. Because in Ethiopia you learn how to be more humble, how to be more patient. You learn that your prayers are not meant to remain in heaven, but your prayers become reality. They get answered. But sometimes the problem is that you don't realize how to recognize the answer to your prayer. So Ethiopia is a place where all these factors are really, really tangible. So I and I Rastafari should learn that we should be a constant prayer. I and I Rastafari should be a constant prayer. Every aspect of our life should be governed and should be directed by a constant state of prayer. And so now the good book says that we should unceasingly pray. But how can you be unceasingly praying? I mean, you have to eat, you have to work, you have to speak to other people, you have to sleep. You cannot be technically unceasingly praying. So what is the mystics behind this verse? When the good book says that you should be constantly praying, is really saying that you should enter a dimension. Not that you should technically always repeating prayers 24 hours. You should learn how to enter this dimension and build this dimension where you are in a constant state of prayers, even if you are engaged with other things. So Ethiopia is a place where this really happened. And you walk around and you pass through Batawi, ancient Batawi, coming from another age, another time, and another spiritual realms. And you are in front of mystics becoming reality. Ethiopia is a place where you witness miracles every day. And your prayer get answered with a fast lane. Because you are really, really in a prophetical place. So then what happened when we go back? What happened when we go to Europe or US or wherever you go? Well, the thing is that you have to reproduce this Ethiopian dimension everywhere you go. So, my brethren, the progenitors, Adam and Eve, they had to step out the Garden of Eden, right? The problem was not about a fruit, the problem was not about a sin, but the reason why they had to step out the Garden of Eden, it was to go around the world of the living, where there is death, where there is sin, where there is problems, there is pain, and reproduce this Garden of Eden everywhere they went. So mystically, mankind must progress in order to become that Garden of Eden, so that everywhere we go and in every situation we find ourselves in, we can reenact, reproduce, manifest that Garden of Eden, which is a dimension. Garden of Eden is a dimension of connection with the Creator and the creation itself. That is why the tabernacle, before the big temple, before the first temple in Jerusalem that was built by King Solomon. Before that there was the tabernacle. Yeah, the tabernacle now was nothing else if not a reproduction of the Garden of Eden. That's why inside it had decoration, floral decoration, it had plants, trees, fruits, yeah, and it was also built with natural materials, because the tabernacle reproduced the Garden of Eden. Yeah, so everywhere Israel went, the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant was there, and you can dismantle it and then you build it again. So is mobile. So that is exactly what Rastafari is. That is exactly Aina Livity. We are an embassy of that Garden of Eden, and we have to reproduce it. When we go back to the West, we are an embassy of Ethiopia. So this is the mystics. Aina Livity is Ethiopia, in the US, in Europe, in Italy, in UK, anywhere you there. So if we miss this point, we're missing everything. So when you come here now, you have, let's say, a crash course. It's like a crash course on how to really build this dimension and immerse yourself in it. Of course, if you have the right people around. If you don't have the right people around, if you have nobody explaining you about all of this, you might see only beautiful landscape and trees and museums and ancient artifacts and things. So coming to Ethiopia now is like a crash course. Yeah. So what we should really learn, that coming to Ethiopia is not a point of arrival, but is actually a starting point. That's why Ethiopia is a regeneration. That's why here you find really the conditions on the condition to take on your Rastafari livity on a next level. And I learned this in the good way and in the less good way, you know, because Ethiopia is a place where many things can happen, and not everything is necessarily what you're expecting. But again, you need to learn how to recognize the answers to your prayer. So you might pray for something and receive something else. I say like, hey, how is possible? The Almighty didn't listen to me? But then it turns out that the answer to your prayer was in disguise, was covered. It has a package, but you did not learn yet to recognize the package. So Ethiopia is a place where you really ignite a bomb then that keep exploding, yeah, throughout the rest of your life. That's why the more you come, the greater this explosion within you can be. Yeah, so it's a dimension, man. It's a different dimension. Highly high.
Selassie, and as that I say, it's like that dimension of being in constant devotion, where even our actions are prayers, you know, where I think Jana Inchi has a lyric, the service is the worship. So even through how we treat others, how we talk with people, how we do our works, how we do everything we do in our day must be done out of that worship. Our service is the worship, not only, as you say, going on our knees and praying, but praying all of the time. Yes, sir. And I think Ethiopia is a place, as you say, that humbles you and teaches you that. And so obviously Ethiopia itself, the anciency and the history, if we bring it to the modern day, where obviously His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, King of Kings, Negus Negast, you know, is the one shining the light to Ethiopia, you know, is the reason, let's say, that all of I and I have sight up Ethiopia through His Imperial Majesty. So I guess a good topic to touch upon would be the teachings of His Majesty, because he's one of the most published world leaders. He left so many books and speeches and publications for INA to study, for Ethiopian people to study. He translated them into Arabic, French, English, so these are things he left for INA, the people of the world, to study. So there's a reason why he left that, because most world leaders, maybe they might, when they retire, they might publish an autobiography as a commercial thing. But His Majesty actually wrote 2 volumes. There's rumors of a 3rd volume that's never been found. But you know, His Majesty gave us his testimony of his life. He gave us his testimony of his teachings or his time at that time. So what would be the importance of, for ones and ones today that are seeking the teachings of His Majesty or seeking to get to know more about the depths and the roots and the liberty of Rastafari, implementing and acknowledging and studying the teachings of His Majesty in our daily lives.